Welcome everyone to my review of the McFarlane Toys Superman from the Batman 1966. We know that this is not based on any particular Superman, but it is from the line that McFarlane have given us for the classic TV series. So that is why the packaging is still very familiar. As you can see, it says Batman 66 rather than the classic TV series. So since it's not based on any particular Man of Steel, this is kind of just a concept version, should I say. I'm not too sure why they decided to give us this version. A lot of speculation whether he was the George Reeves version, which was from the 50s. But for me, this actually does remind me of the Ben Affleck version when he kind of cosplays Superman in one of the movies, which I'll bring up the title now. So it's in that packaging which you're familiar with, very collector friendly. And then here's a quick look at the back, and you can see it's a good artwork of the TV series as well. Maybe I'll look forward to picking up some of the other characters later on. So here is the Superman figure out of its packaging. So this is meant to represent a 60s version of the Man of Steel. And even though it's not really based on any particular live action or comic, I think it does work. Of course, every time I see the bright colors of the red and blue, it does remind me of the Christopher Reeve 70s version. I wish they did make a DC McFarlane Toys of that. Maybe they're saving up for later. So for now, they've just given us a basic concept version of Superman. And this is what he'll look like, apparently, if he was from the 60s. And you can see the way they've sculpted the figure is very much like the Batman line as well. There is some sort of paint that could be better around the belt, but other than that, I think it's actually a pretty decent look. The cape is very simple. It wraps around the neck. It kind of gives it that kind of cosplay look, but I think for a 60s show, this is probably what Superman would look like. One gripe I had with this figure was that when I took it out of the box, I'm not sure if it's because it's still a bit stiff, it wouldn't really stand when the legs were straight. I had to kind of bend the knees a bit and loosen them up, and now it stands pretty well. But when it first was taken out of the box, it was kind of leaning forward. So if you get that problem as well, just loosen up the knees and it should be fine. So just let me quickly bring in the Adam West Batman, of course from the same line. So this is kind of a fantasy world where we had Batman and Superman from the 60s. And this is actually pretty decent. I think both of them have that vintage vibe to it, and it really has that classic look, especially the way the colors really pop. So yeah, this is what it would look like if we had a Batman v Superman in the 60s. Next up, let's test the movement of this figure. So it's a pretty simple one considering the price point, but it should do all the basics we've seen in the previous figures. So for the head sculpt, it does rotate very smoothly round and round. Not much side to side, downwards motion, not too much either, but it can look up slightly for those flying poses, I guess. And then for the arms, they can move side to side. And then there's rotation forwards, upwards, backwards if you want, and then this way as well. And there's also bend, and then there's also hand rotation. Notice that on the left side it is the open palms for a flying pose, and then for the right hand is a fisted one for the punching pose or flying pose if you want. So there's a bit of variety there. And then for the body, just like the Batman, there's rotation only, and then for the legs they go forwards. They actually don't move backwards compared to the Batman version. You can actually move it slightly, but it doesn't tilt backwards at all, as you can see on the back. And then it doesn't go wide either, but there is a knee bend, and the boots also rotate. Well, at least the lower half of the legs rotate. And that's pretty much it for the articulation. So you can get Superman in some sort of flying pose if you want, if you get him on a stand, but it's pretty basic, kind of like the Batman. So for the accessories, they've given us these two green pieces of crystals from the Fortress of Solitude, so the kryptonite pieces, I believe. So we have a larger one which can be placed on the floor or next to him as a display, And then we have a smaller piece which kind of works the same way. I was thinking it may be able to place it into his hand, but it doesn't seem the case. So this is just another display piece. I can't really think of too many accessories they could have given this Superman. Maybe some effects like the Batman versions, but for these two crystal pieces, I think it kind of works as well. So I'm okay with them. So now for the size comparisons, and I'm going to start off with some more DC McFarlane toys. So we have the Justice League Tactical Suit Batman, as well as the Black Suit Superman. So you can see the comparison in terms of the size. So this line in particular is a lot shorter compared to the standard McFarlane figures. And then the next one, we can test it out with slightly smaller figures. So we have the Tamashii Nations SH Figure Arts, as we have more Justice League figures. So with the Batman. And then we also have the Superman version as well. So you can see that both of these fit more in line with this version. And then we can also bring in the Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne from the Justice League. This is by Medicom Mafex. And once again, they are more in line with this figure. And we also have the Black Suit Superman from Justice League as well. So that was my quick review of the 60s Superman by McFarlane Toys. Of course, this isn't based on anything particular, but I think it fits really well with the rest of the line. And even though it's a very basic figure, you do have to remember the price point. And overall, it's a decent figure, even though it lacks the articulation and accessories. So overall, for its price, I think it's actually a very good pickup. And it's something different to my usual Superman figures in my collection. So overall, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe, and be sure to also check out my review of the Batman figure. Thanks for watching.